Hello and welcome to this month's Maggie Moment. I would love to chat today about how our children feel loved by us. Look, we know we're nuts about our kids, even though there are some times, that gets tested, isn't it, when they draw on the walls or they say no and slam the door in your face. We love them. And we do know, the research is quite strong, that the more securely attached and loved a child feels, the more motivated they are to do what we'd really like them to do. So it's a really good idea for them to feel loved. However, I discovered that there were times even in my counselling where I actually knew the parents of a child sitting there telling me that they weren't loved by their parents. Okay, so one of the game changers for me in understanding this was the book for grown-ups, The 5 Love Languages. And it really made it easy for me to understand which of my relationships were the ones that really made me feel secure and loved. And the same goes for our kids. Now, they have a beautiful version for children, which is the 5 Love Languages for Children. And it's by Campbell and Gary Chapman. I really recommend you discover it and really question it with whoever you're co-parenting with if you are. And if not, work with your children. Each of them may have very different ways of feeling loved. And I did ask a little boy one day, tell me how much love you feel in your heart, which is like a love cup. And he said, I feel a little bit, but there's a lot of poo in there. So what he was really saying was that it wasn't being filled by the things that I think parents were obviously thinking it was being filled. Now, wouldn't it be lovely if they just felt loved because of all the great things we do for them? Really, it'd be fabulous. Okay, so what are the 5? The 5 are safe, loving touch. There's a big one. So if you've got a safe toucher, you'll know. If they're little, they're hanging onto your leg or they're hanging all around you, or if they do co-sleep with you, they're wrapped around you, arms and legs. They are always going to need that. And sometimes it's a ruffle on the head or a tickle on the back or just recognise that that's one of their big ones that fills that sense of love in their own sense of being. It's not for all children. Now, that's one of my love cups. So I was a bit devoed when my oldest, it's not his. And I tried to love the heck out of him until I realised what his love cups were. And then we're okay. Okay, so the second one is words of affirmation or words of appreciation. And it's sometimes those things that we say that mean far more for some children than others. That's acknowledging when they've done things okay. It's even giving them a thumbs up. It's that reassuring talk that I just saw you being really patient with your sister or your brother. It's not overpraising because they can, our kids know when we're overdoing it. So it definitely, sometimes it's the words we say. And I would also suggest terms of endearment, like just know that the words go in really more than the actions. The next one's gifts, and that just means they're going to spend, eons and lots of money and buy endless toys. I don't really believe in too many toys for children. But it's sometimes those gestures of, and this happened to me. I travelled interstate one time for a conference, came back home, and my gift-loving son just walked past and said, "Did you get me anything?" So sometimes it's a postcode, or sometimes it's you would have thought of something and that's inexpensive. Or you may have taken a photograph of something they would really be interested in and show them that on your phone. But it's kind of like a gift. Now, I have one around my neck because one of my beautiful granddaughters, that's one of her biggies. She's always turning up with cards and messages of love, and this is one of her gorgeous creations that I'm lucky to have. Okay, on top of that, then we have quality time. And you'll also know if you've got a quality timer because they always want to be in your face. They want to ask endless questions. And when I went on that trip, my quality timer wanted to know everything that happened from the time I had left home. How many people were on the airplane? What was the hotel? What did you see? How many people were there and what happened? And was there a bump when the plane landed? So quality timers are going to drive you nuts unless you give them that little bit, particularly when they reconnect with you. And then the last one's acts of service. And these are the kids that just really appreciate it when you just, take them that cup of Milo if they're a teenager with a bicky, even though they don't deserve it. When you do things for them and just check if there's something you can help them with in their room. Should we help tidy it up? To get acts of service. And for a lot of boys, it's just, food, often driven by food. But be careful that it's not always that I'm going to give them the snack they love because then they'll love me more, because that can be a little bit of a slippery slope. So Most of us have two. So I'd really love you to give some thoughts, have a chat to whoever it is that, is the big person in your life who you love to bits, and go, hey, because what we tend to do is we often give the gifts of our own, what we want, to others without recognising it might not be floating their boat. Great conversation to have. Seriously, ask them how their love cup is. Ask them the ways, give them some examples, and I can tell you it can be a game changer. Hope that's helped you this month, and that's all.